You guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to react to MMA Hot Takes. I saw this post on Twitter by Ben DeBane Davis. Shout out to him. I'm actually going to put a link to his Twitter page because this is the reason why I'm going to be making this video is because of him. So shout out to him. I'm going to link it right in the description. So if you want to check his page out and check the post that I believe is somewhere on his Twitter page. So if you want to see some of the takes that I haven't read in this video, you can go ahead and do that. So yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. So the first take that I saw is Stephen Thompson is still the best pure striker at 170. I kind of agree. I'm trying to think of all the 170 strikers. You probably have to look at guys like Leon Edwards. You have to look at guys like Shavkat. I think when it comes to pure striking, I think Wonderboy is the most skilled striker in that division still. I think even at, I believe he's over the age of 40 now, he's one of the best strikers, like one of the most pure and skilled strikers. Not just in 170, in all of MMA, and all of the UFC. So I actually have to agree with this take. I think this is, I don't know if this is really a hot take because I still think that Wonderboy, I mean, maybe I guess more of a common take, I guess, is Leon Edwards. But I think Leon Edwards doesn't have the striking ability of a Wonderboy, in my honest opinion. I think his overall game is a lot better than Wonderboy, and he's a lot younger and he's in his prime. But I think as when it comes to striking and pure striking, and the skill set of striking, I'm going to go with Wonderboy. The Dana White Contender Series is better than 90% of pay-per-view cards. I haven't watched the Dana White Contender Series. I've seen like fights on YouTube and stuff like that they post for free. And some of the fights are actually very good. I don't know if it's better than 90% of pay-per-view cards. It might be. I don't know. But these are like up-and-coming guys that are fighting for a UFC contract. And it's definitely an interesting opportunity for just about anybody, who has been fighting on different types of promotions that are weird promotions and stuff like that. I think it's great for, for people to get that opportunity on the Dana White Contender Series. Usually if there's a fight that has been talked about on the Dana White Contender Series, I'll probably give it a watch and see what's going on with that. But for the most part, I mean, listen, is it probably better, like the fight quality? Absolutely, but when it's people that you really don't necessarily care about versus when, you have two guys that we've been investing in and stuff like that going up against each other, I feel like, you're not going to look forward to a Dana White Contender Series more than a pay-per-view fight card. So in a way, I kind of agree to disagree in that sense. But probably the fights are better. Some of the fights that I do see on the Dana White Contender Series are bangers. So I'll give you that one. Khabib quit too early to ever be considered a GOAT. I kind of agree. I feel like if Khabib had a little bit of a longer career, if he had, like, let's just say, for example, 5 more fights in the UFC, I think that he will be considered a GOAT 100%. Listen, I mean, Khabib definitely for sure to me is a top 10 and probably a top 5 fighter of all time in the UFC for sure, 100%. But I mean, I feel like him retiring so early definitely hindered his GOAT conversation thing. Even though, granted, I know I'm going to be called a hypocrite. I called him the GOAT after he beat Justin Gaethje and he retired. But I felt like that was a little foolish of me because he really hadn't beat a lot of guys and he didn't have a long title reign. I think he only defended his title twice, and that was to Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje. We never got to see a fight between him and Charles Oliveira. We never got to see a fight between him and I even know Beneil Dariush is not great, or him versus Volkanovski. You know what I mean? A lot of people been wanting to see that fight. That's a fight that I think nowadays people will be very interested in. Him versus Volk would be very interesting. But yeah, I mean, and obviously, I don't know if him and Islam would have ever fought, but in my opinion, yeah, I think he fought too early, and I don't think he's in the GOAT conversation. I think, to me, I think it's so far ahead is John Jones, and then Georges St. Pierre, I guess, is kind of there, but I still believe that John Jones is number 1 for me, in my honest opinion. So yes, I do kind of agree with that. Izzy can't be the middleweight GOAT over Silva having lost his belt 2 times in his prime. I agree. I don't think he is the middleweight GOAT. I don't think that he should be considered the middleweight GOAT. Anderson Silva had too much of a dominant time as the middleweight champion, way back when. I believe he was like undefeated, and then his first loss was when he was at 38 years old, and that fight, I mean, he just got a little too cocky, and then he got caught by Chris Weidman and got knocked out. I have to agree with you, to be quite honest with you. I think, in my opinion, I don't think that Izzy can be considered a GOAT. Could he be the GOAT possibly in the future? He will have to win a lot more fights and defend, be able to get the title back and defend it a bunch more times to me for him to be considered the middleweight GOAT over Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva has done too much in the middleweight division, in my opinion. And listen, Izzy is number 2 all time in that division. Don't get it twisted. But Izzy will have to do a whole lot more to be considered the middleweight GOAT. And yes, losing the title twice in his prime, losing it to Alex Pereira and to Sean Strickland when everybody thought that you should have beat Sean Strickland, that hinders you a lot in the GOAT conversation for middleweight. So yeah, I do agree with that. Conor McGregor is never coming back. At this point, this seems like this is true, but I really do believe he's going to come back. Conor McGregor is going to make a return. I think he will fight Michael Chandler at some point. I think right now is looking like it's going to be in January or February. I'm hoping for a January Conor McGregor fight card. That's when it seems like he just fights. He fought Cowboy in January. He fought Dustin Poirier in his return back in January. And it looks like maybe, how many years later? Pretty much 3 years later almost. He's going to make his comeback in January of 2024. And I'm hoping that is the case. I hope that we do see Conor McGregor back. But we'll see what happens with that. The fight still hasn't been made yet, and it kind of concerns me. I want to see a Conor McGregor fight once again. I mean, listen, say what you want about Conor McGregor. He's still my favorite fighter of all time, and I do want to see him return back into the octagon. Belal is an exciting fighter. I have to disagree. Belal is not. I mean, he's had his fight between him and Sean Brady was very good. But Sean Brady just looked terrible in that fight, to be quite honest with you. But that fight that he had with Gilbert Burns was not great, and Gilbert Burns was heavily injured, and he wasn't able to finish him. His fight against him and Damian Maia wasn't all that great. He was getting pieced up by Leon, and that was a great fight, but he was just getting smoked by Leon Edwards. I mean, I'm not really too big into Bala Muhammad. I think Bala Muhammad is not interesting at all in the slightest. I think that he has no personality, no charisma whatsoever. I think that Bala Muhammad and Loki might be one of the most just uninteresting fighters in all of the UFC. And in the history of the sport, to be quite honest with you. So I have to disagree with that. Slap fighting is awesome. I know this is not really UFC and MMA related, but I have to disagree. I don't get the appeal of the slap promotion that Dana White runs. I really don't like it at all. I think it's really stupid in my honest opinion. So I will have to disagree on that one as well. I really believe that shit is so stupid. It just doesn't make any sense. It is hazardous. It is dangerous to the people who are in these competitions because they're not really fighters. They're just slappers, I guess. It really doesn't make any sense. I think that they have to abolish that shit. I really do believe that it shouldn't be a thing anymore. Justin Gaethje is the most overrated fighter on the roster. I have to disagree. I'll give you somebody who is more overrated than him, and that is Marlon Cheeto Vera. Marlon Cheeto Vera is getting gifted a title shot that it is undeserving, and people say he's a good fighter. I think that Marlon Cheeto Vera is not that good of a fighter. I think Justin Gaethje, when you look at Justin Gaethje fight, especially his last 2 fights, his fights were very good. And now he's getting a little overrated nowadays, and a lot of people think that he has a chance against Islam. I don't think he does, really. I mean, obviously anybody has a chance, but in my opinion, like, people are kind of overrating him a little bit now. Like, people were just shitting all over him, and then now people are calling him one of the best strikers in the UFC, and people are saying that he could possibly be Islam and stuff like that, when his track record says otherwise. But let's get to Cheeto Vera. Cheeto Vera, to me, is the most overrated fighter in the sport. A lot of people think that he is a good fighter. In my opinion, I think that Pedro Munoz fight, if you look back at that fight, you can definitely give the decision to Pedro Munoz. I think that, he just gets dominated, but then he gets a knockout. He was getting dominated by Frankie Edgar. He was losing that fight to Frankie Edgar, and then he get the knockout. Listen, I understand he has great power, but overall his fighting, when you can avoid his power, look what happens. You can dominate. Look what Corey Sandhagen did to him. You know what I mean? And a lot of the guys, I think, in the top 5, I think guys like Piotr Jan can beat Marlon Vera. I think Aljamain Sterling beats him. I think, pretty much everybody in the top 5, maybe Umar Nurmagomedov as well, can beat Marlon Cheeto Vera, but then he's going to get a title shot over everybody just because he has a history with Sean O'Malley. I mean, bro, I'm going to have to say Cheeto Vera over Justin Gaethje. But Justin Gaethje is getting a little overrated nowadays. I do agree with that take. Francis Ngannou isn't even that good. He just hits hard. He looked pretty good in that fight between him and Stipe. And then that fight against him and Cyril Gane, he definitely showed some good grappling. But I kind of do agree in a sense. I don't think that he's all that great, to be quite honest with you. I think that he's a little sloppy on the feet, but his power is just absolutely unbelievable. I think when we see that fight between him and Tyson Fury, unless he just gets a crazy knockout punch, he's going to get exposed. He's going to get outclassed by Tyson Fury. I mean, it's just going to show in full display in front of everybody when he does have that boxing fight. His striking, listen, his striking is not all that great. He just has insane power, the most power that we've ever seen in the history of the sport. But in my opinion, overall, his striking ability is not great at all. I think that a lot of guys in the heavyweight division are better strikers than him, like when it comes to just technical striking. So yeah, I kind of agree with that take. So yeah, I agree. And that's going to be pretty much it for the video, guys. If you guys enjoyed, please like the video. By the way, like I said, I'm going to link the guy's Twitter in the description below. I'm going to link his Twitter, so go ahead and follow him and stuff like that, and then look at the post and see all the other takes, because there were some other wild takes, but I just, didn't want to make this video too long. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you soon with another video. Peace out.